Hey everyone, good Monday evening. Welcome to Bowling with the Fef, a platform for you to share your unique bowling story live right here on our YouTube channel. Hope you're having a great start to your week. As you can tell by the Packers helmet in the corner of my screen, this has been a rough week to start. But you know what? We're going to get through it. We'll figure out a way. We've got a lot of history on our side. Those of us who cheer for the Packers. And, tomorrow's a new day. Today's a new day as far as that's concerned. Let's get into some bowling stuff. The PWBA released their 2023 schedule this morning. It includes 12 national stops, 3 of which are majors. You've got 9 PWBA regionals this season. So let's take a closer look at that national tour where you can find the greatest female bowlers in the world this season. In May is when the national tour starts up. You've got an event in Stockton, California on the 4th through the 6th. A week later in Spokane. After that, they head out to Las Vegas for the USBC Queens on May 17th through the 23rd. Then they head over to Grand Rapids, Michigan, Wyoming, Michigan, to be exact, for the PWBA Grand Rapids Classic, the PWBA Bowl TV Classic, the PWBA Great Lakes Classic. Then they're over in Cleveland in the middle of June. The U.S. Women's Open is halfway through June in Rochester, New York. You've got the Lucy Doubles at the end of July in Houston, Texas. And then 3 events to close out the national tour season in Waterloo, Iowa. You've got the PWBA Waterloo Classic, the PWBA Pepsi Classic, and the PWBA Tour Championship. So that is the gist of the national tour event. The finals of the USBC Queens, the U.S. Women's Open, and the Tour Championship are all going to be broadcast on national television. The rest will be streamed to Bowl TV. We'll kind of find out about the regionals where they'll be. They are going to be taking registration for those very soon, though. So hopefully we'll find out dates and venues for all that. The events to close out the season in Waterloo are taking place at Cadillac XBC. And if that center name sounds a little familiar to you, hopefully it's for the same reason that it's familiar to me. That's where we were live streaming last year for the Peacocks Classic. And we're doing it again this year, January 20th and through the 23rd. In Waterloo, Iowa of 2023. So I should say next year, really, not this year. But the Upper Iowa University is the host school for the 2nd annual Peacock Classic. We will have live streaming of bowling action, NCAA bowling action, all 3 days right here on the Bowling with the Fef channel. So I hope you will take the time to join us for some terrific bowling action. It was certainly an exciting finish for last year's event. Looking forward to more of the same this time around. Well, Bowling with the Fef wouldn't be possible without Chip Magnet Salsa, or at least Chip Magnet Salsa's support of the channel, which is massive. Chip Magnet Salsa is a family business right near me in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It distributes quality salsas, relishes, and a whole lot more to stores in more than 38 states and Canada. If you are in Whitewater and you want the exquisite flavor of Chip Magnet Salsa, you just take that short trip to Festival Foods in Fort Atkinson and they will hook you up. Or you can order. ChipMagnetSalsa.com is the address. They will be happy to take your order just as soon as you are ready to place it. Chip Magnet, raise your snack standards. And as always, thank you so much to Chip Magnet for supporting Bowling with the Fef. Let's talk about our guest for this week. He had a role in the documentary Road to the Helmer Cup, UW-Whitewater's national championship run that you can find on YouTube and embedded on the men's team's website. And that's because he was a big part of that run. Drake Bazzy is now a senior at UW-Whitewater and is, along with his teammates, trying to repeat the first Intercollegiate Team Championship in program history. So let's get him out here. He is from Flat Rock, Michigan. And but joining us at his college house in Whitewater tonight, Drake Bazzy. Welcome to the Bowling with the Fef show, Drake.
How's it going? I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking Coach Wochner up on his challenge and coming on. We're certainly excited to have you and to talk about that championship run, along with a lot of other stuff dealing with you and your bowling story. I want to start out with a rather heartfelt message that that I saw you post on social about a bowler named Devin last month. First of all, I want to mention how sorry I am for your loss. But that you mentioned that he was one of your best friends. And I want to know what you hope people who maybe didn't know him find out about him through you, or those who did remember about him.
Yeah, just kind of like a personal background with Devin. He was one of my really close friends that I grew up like when I first started getting more into competitive bowling. He was a part of that group alongside of Jeff Lazuski, Shane Cannell, Gabe Tusisi, Justin O'Shaughnessy. And that was kind of that group that kind of pushed me harder and helped me get to where I am today. And he was a one of a kind person, um, very caring, very thoughtful, and really took the sport seriously. And it was really heartbreaking when I got that call that morning. I just kind of something that's like really stuck with him and throughout, like even now, was this kind of a hashtag that we created was Delta Flight, which was his way of lofting the entire lane with his 15-pound ball, or probably would be the Moda Paranoia, which would be his favorite ball of all time. And that was just kind of one of the things that he did. And that's one of the big things that, everyone cherished about him, was that he was not like scared to do anything like that, like in front of anyone, because you always knew that like it didn't mean no harm. And yeah, he is just one of the nicest kids that I've ever met, and I really do appreciate everything he's ever done for me.
Yeah. Well, again, sorry to hear hear about your loss with Devin, and best to his friends and family, everybody else who knew him. Um, you have a big weekend coming up at the Leatherneck Classic, and that's a tournament that has a connection to to Whitewater, and certainly a direct connection to retired coach Shawn Wochner, and certainly to you guys on the team in some way, shape, or form. Tell me about that tournament. How special is that to you guys?
Yeah, like obviously Shawn helps run that tournament, and we always think of this tournament as a tier one, even though it is a tier two, because it is the biggest tier two of the whole year. And we really take this tournament really seriously, and we find pretty good success here. And hopefully we can come away with a win this weekend. I know that practice this week is going to be different than last weekend last week, because we obviously had an off week. So I'm just really excited to get this team together, and we have really good gel right now and really good team chemistry. So I think it'll be a good weekend. I think it'll be a good weekend.
Yeah. How about for you individually? I mean, I know you guys have a practice schedule. Things are structured through coach. You do things the way you do. What about your mindset as we get into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, leading up to a big tournament like that? What's it like?
I don't really try and overthink things, especially over in practice, because I'm just trying to make sure I have the fundamentals down, make sure, spare lines are sharp. I'm able to play the gutter, pretty well, which is every tournament. Just got to make sure it's on my A game for this weekend. So, practice will probably be a little different, uh, practicing shape with urethane and just burning with the team. And, being the lone lefty, I have to do some things that are a little different, but, you know, I, I'll probably do tonight, actually, probably after the live stream. I'll probably go practice, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then probably a little more Thursday. So
Yeah. Is being the lone lefty kind of a different experience for you? I know you've had other lefties that have been involved in the program in your first 3 years.
yeah, yeah. So like at least for this weekend, I'll be the only lefty by myself. But we do have two other lefties, and it's really nice, like at least having them this year compared to last year, where I mean I had one, but he was going through a transition where he was switching from one-handed to two-handed, so he was still trying to figure things out. But now that he's comfortable and he's throwing it a lot better, and we have a freshman that's one-handed lefty that I can bounce opinions off of, it makes practices a lot nicer and more comfortable because not only am I able to give my own opinions and just kind of how I see things, we're able to bounce off each other, and it works really well.
Yeah. What's the feeling like to be a senior in this group? I mean, you've seen the team kind of, I don't want to say transition, but certainly grow from the time that you got there. You're defending national champions now, and it's always a talented bunch. I would think that there's kind of the expectation that you become somewhat or a lot a leader among those guys.
Yeah, I mean, especially from my freshman year to now with COVID and obviously the coaching change, like a lot has developed. And I love having Shawn as a coach and just kind of getting through that adjustment. It's been really smooth, and it's nice being that one of those senior leaders because I'm technically the second oldest on the team next to McGuire Hanshey, who is one of our other older seniors, and see Roy in the chat. The adjustment and the development has been really nice, and every year the team chemistry and the gel factor has been like better year after year after year, like no matter where we finished.
Yeah.
Obviously with coming off of the win last year, obviously we're gonna have a target on our backs, so we really gotta make sure our team chemistry and mentality are on our A game. But it's nice knowing that all the younger guys can come to me for anything and whatever they need help with, I'm there.
Yeah. We've had Shawn on before a couple times, so we kind of understand, at least those of us who have been here for the run of this show, understand the concept of petting the kitty, but maybe you can kind of elaborate on what Rory's saying there.
Yeah, so when I came in my freshman year, I never touched urethane ever. Like I had a purple hammer as a plastic ball, so I was always used to getting right and just big wheeling, like a big ASIM solid bowling ball, and I didn't have the best knowledge when it came to playing sport patterns. So Shawn came up with this saying, "Pet the kitty." If you want to be able to throw urethane, you got to be a little bit softer off the hand, get around it a little more. This will allow you to play left and straighter up the board. So ever since then, it's stuck with me, and I've always thought about that, and it's helped a lot.
Yeah. Well, cool. Obviously you don't, start out, playing the sport patterns, petting the kitty, making equipment changes, all that stuff. You start out heaving the bowling ball down the lane. So let's, kind of get to that beginning of your bowling story. Your hometown is near Detroit. Did you grow up in that area?
Yeah, so I guess growing up all my life, I've always been bouncing from houses to houses. So I've always grown up in like the surrounding areas. I officially like moved to Flat Rock. My parents might be mad if I don't remember this, but I think it's either 2012, I believe we moved there. And ever since then, I've always stuck around in the Downriver area. And I didn't start bowling, I guess technically seriously until 2012. That's when I started my first ever like certified league, and um, I didn't start like really taking bowling seriously until about my sophomore year of high school. That's when I found out about the MJMAs in Michigan, which is the like the WIBTs and the JBSTs of Michigan. And I wanted to take my game to the next level, understand the game more, and it's been a wild experience, and I'm very blessed to be a part of it.
Yeah. What was it that got you into it in the first place? Was it friends? Was it family?
Yeah, so I've always been playing a sport all year round. I used to play soccer, I used to play baseball, I used to play basketball, I used to play everything. And my dad bowls, and my dad and my grandpa bowl. And, every once in a great while, I come up and watch some bowl league. And that's just kind of, I guess, how I started that connection. And I guess I mostly wanted to be a kind of like a getaway from everything that was going on at that time. So ever since then, it just became like the love that I have.
Yeah. Dylan says represent downriver. What is downriver? Is that a neighborhood or region?
So it's like a region of cities. The downriver area would be like for my high school, we were in the Downriver League. Devin was kind of a part of that. They were on like the border league that we had for high school. Dylan Toko is actually one of the triplets that I bowled against in high school.
Oh,
Really good buddy of mine. He throws it sweet.
yeah. So you had what some would consider kind of a late start. You're competing against people who probably started when they're 5, 6, 7. Did you find that it was, kind of a lot of catching up that you had to do, or did you kind of find your way pretty quickly?
Yeah, I mean, definitely starting off, wasn't the hottest bowling for the first 3 or 4 years. And once I started, realizing that there's more than leagues, that's when I kind of started on the up. And bowling like the states and the Pepsi and the cities, and then like slowly getting into MJMA more. That's when my game really started to progress really, really fast. And up until my senior year of high school, we won states, and then that gave me that confidence to keep going because I knew I got to get better. Brought it into freshman year of college. That's when I met Brandon Mooney, which is now our head coach, and he really helped me progress, and Shawn and everyone else. And now we are here.
Yeah. Drew says hello. He's watching, and we've got Ken from, saying hello, guys, from Papa. and uh,
Yeah,
and then a reminder that your dad was your first bowling coach.
that is my dad that said that. Yep, and he was he's
Yeah,
the one that taught me just about everything.
yeah. If you're like me and you're like most other kids, it's kind of weird taking too much instruction from your dad, right? How did you manage that?
Oh,
Learning from him, but also, all right, Dad, let me do my own thing.
yeah, obviously, my dad got me started with just about everything, like off the basics. He helped me get past the basics and everything. And as I got older, the more stubborn I got, and he did not like that in the background. So, obviously, um, like I love he's a great house bowler. He knows his fundamentals down to the T. And being out here, it gives me a different, a different look on things. And, with him in the background, he's able to see things from like behind me than what I would see up front. And that really helps, and he still helps me to this day. We actually just talked about it like a couple days ago about my game. We send him videos. He lets me know what he sees. I say, I already know that. And then I hang up the phone.
And he's still, as the comment says, your biggest supporter. So
Oh yeah.
obviously he's not taking offense to that kind of stuff. And like I said, I was the same way. Oh boy, he understands. Um, Tell me about starting up your tournament experience. Do you remember maybe the first junior tournament you got into and what it was like?
Yeah, it was a Michigan Youth Masters tournament at M66 Bowl. This was probably, oh man, I think this was when I started U15. I think it was one of the only tournaments I bowled in U15 minus Pepsi. And I remember bowling on a pair, I believe, with Ryan Wright, who was another good bowler from my area that I grew up in high school with. And I remember just absolutely frying out. I had two bowling balls. I had the IQ tour. It was one of the IQs, and then I had the original DV8 Ruckus. That's all I brought to the sport shot tournament, and I probably averaged maybe 140, 150, and I was frying out. And you know, I wish I could take that. I wish I could take my reaction to leaving the bowling alley back, because it was not pretty. And, you know, a lot of the older guys come up and tell me, like, dude, listen, this is your first tournament ever. Like, you're only going to get up from here, take this as a learning experience and go with it. And, you know, obviously I'm 13, 14. I don't know how to do that yet.
Mhm.
But no, I remember it wasn't the prettiest, but it was definitely a learning experience to get me going.
Yeah. And a lot of people say either you win or you learn. And if you do one of the two, you're good. Not to be
Yeah.
outdone here, your mom is your biggest fan.
Yeah.
That is mom, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My family is definitely my biggest fan base for sure. They support me so much, and, you know, it's overwhelming support, and I absolutely love it. You know, they give me the confidence to keep going, you
Yeah.
know, with being 7 hours away.
Sure. In those early days, I'm assuming because you got to have some kind of support from family, not only, with the attaboy and go get them, but driving to tournaments and things like that. Tell me about what they did to kind of keep you in this in a competitive sense.
Well, I guess I've always had that competitive drive. My mom, so at that time I lived with my mom, and she would drive me up to Mayflower Lanes. I think it was every Saturday. That was the very first league I ever bowled. So, you know, we were always going back and forth. I'd bowl there, and then I'd go bowl in Flat Rock, and then my dad would take me to tournaments, and my mom would take me to tournaments, and, you know, it was always a lot of moving around, because especially when I started, I was playing baseball and basketball and soccer. So I think at one point I was playing 4 sports at the same time. So I've always had that competitive drive, and I guess bowling just really took it away, you know, over the years.
But you're glad you stuck with it, right? Even though
Oh, 100%. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, yeah, even though it did that to you. Ken says this kid is very talented. Love him very much. Love Meemaw.
Yep, that is my grandparents, Mima and
Oh,
Papa.
gotcha. Okay. And Emmett Plays says lefty mentality.
All the time, all the time. But if I don't have that, I'm on the bench.
Yeah. So tell me about the high school team. You went to a high school called Huron High School in New Boston. What did you know about that program before you started in it yourself?
So my older brother actually bowled there before I transferred school districts from Livonia to the Huron school districts. I knew he bowled. I found out they had a high school team. I actually remember my freshman year tryouts. I was using at the point I was throwing a 14-pound ball. I grabbed a 15-pound Storm Spitfire off the rack and threw it my first day of tryouts and shot a 240. And I don't know what happened, but that ball stuck with me, and I knew the team was very successful. And when I came in, all 4 years we swept the league. I believe we went undefeated my last 2 years, and then we took a couple regional titles. We took a state title. Um, that is a group of guys that I'll always remember. Absolutely loved that gel of the team, and we were all super close. And man, we really like to mess around in the lanes, but when it came to being serious, we were serious. Our coach, or my head coach Larry Collins at the time, really helped give me the experience of what it's like to have a college coach, because, you know, a lot of people think that he's a little too hard on the kids, but I completely disagree. I think that it was completely worth it, and he's doing it for a reason. You know, obviously I understand that being a football coach and a bowling coach, some of the football coaching things can transfer over, but it was all worth it, and it helped me, you know, at least with Shawn.
Yeah.
So
No, and I get that too because I was on a high school team with a coach who was a little gruff, but you understand as you go through the seasons why it's that way, and in the end, when you're performing better than you thought you could, it was
yeah,
all worth it, right?
yeah, he was honest, upfront, and I respect all of it.
Yeah, for sure. You have this is Dakota. saying proud of you, Drake?
Dakota Toker. That is, yep. All three of the triplets are here.
Man, wow, that's great. I'm glad you guys showed up. This is a good point for me to remind everyone who's watching that it would be a good time to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. You can kind of help me create more content and get this stuff seen by a wider audience. So please consider that as we go through Drake's story here. So how about junior gold? You were in junior gold. How'd you qualify? How many times did you go? All that good stuff.
I went 3 years and qualified 0 times. That was still in the developing the lefty mentality part. I never made the first cut ever. Like I said, I only knew how to stand right, throw it left with a big reactive ball. And I remember at this point, my last junior gold, which was in Detroit, I was already committed to Whitewater, and I remember having Shawn at one of the squads asking me why I am not throwing urethane, but I am instead throwing a phase 2 on the short pattern. And at that point, I didn't exactly know what I was doing, and but yeah, no, junior gold was not my thing. I have no success there.
Okay.
At all. It was tough for me, I guess.
Yeah. But that's where Shawn met you, right?
Yep. He met me in Dallas. I think it was a day 3 squad. One of my older roommates and one of my best friends, Jeff Lazewski, was also bowling on that squad, and Shawn was there watching him and just kind of helping him with the transition and just the whole bowling part, and talking to his parents. And he was walking by, and he ended up doing an eye test on me, watched me throw one shot, and liked me, found my parents, and everything is history from there. We got connected, and we have a very interesting story on how I got here instead of a different college.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's
Well, let's get into that a little bit, because I mean,
okay.
I've heard Shawn tell it, but give it to me from your perspective. So, you plan a visit at Whitewater, but then another college comes along and offers you a scholarship, right?
Yep. So I had I'm trying to think. I had two offers at that time. It was with Concordia, Ann Arbor, and Madonna University. I was just about committed to Madonna. About 5 minutes before I was gonna commit, I texted Shawn. I said, "Hey, I know that I have a campus visit, but I personally just kind of want to stay closer to home, and I just kind of like the idea of what they have going on there." And as soon as I sent that message, I was getting ready to call the head coach of Madonna and telling him. And Shawn sent me a very long message, pretty much ripping me apart and trash talking me on why I need to at least come out for a visit. And I showed my parents that. Uh, Shawn freaked out when when my dad sent the message. And yeah, I remember reading that message too. I was like, oh my gosh, did he really just say this to me?
Yeah.
I might just have to. So all that happened, and we ended up doing we got on the phone with Shawn and my parents, and my dad asked if all this was true. And he was like, yeah, he at least deserves to come out here and do a campus visit, and he needs to be a part of something big. So drove out there. Kim, my stepmom Kim was on like no sleep. She was definitely about to rip Shawn a new one as soon as he saw him, but she didn't. I could see them chatting in there. But yeah, no, as soon as I came out there, I fell in love. It felt exactly like home. All the guys treated me well. Obviously, seeing Shawn in a practice situation and seeing the guys in the practice situation and just running through some of the drills and practices, and absolutely loving the campus. It's not a crazy big campus, but it's big enough to get around, corner to corner is about 15 to 20 minutes. So it's
Mhm.
perfect for what I wanted. And at
Yeah.
that point, that's when I pretty much said I was committing there. And it
Yeah.
also did help that obviously two other friends of mine, Jeff Lazowski and Zach Gear, they committed at the same time to Whitewater. So
Well,
that helped a little bit, knowing I also had some friends coming out.
sure. Shawn told me that kind of basically alluded to the same thing. He says the maybe the college that you were going to go to wasn't exactly straight with you, but um, he said he reached back out. Um, yeah, I mean, you would be one of the best on the team. Never sit and never make it to nationals if you go to another school. But he knows better than that. He knows that's not what you want out of college bowling. But he doesn't know you all that well, right?
Not really at that point.
Yeah,
I just about after that, that was when we really started talking and really connecting. And you never like I cannot tell you what the difference would be if I went to either like any one of those colleges.
sure.
Obviously, at this point, with who's won the last couple of years, I wouldn't have a national championship. I wouldn't have a club national championship. Like there'd be so much more different, so many more different things that would have happened in my life, and just kind of, also with how I developed as a player and as a person, probably would have been completely different also.
Yeah,
But I am very, very blessed and glad that I chose it, that I chose this college.
yeah. Um, so you end up at Whitewater, like you said, you get there and you've got a couple guys who you know, so you're not among strangers. What is it like for you to meet the other teammates for the first time and kind of, you know, try and become one of them?
Yeah. So I remember coming in, and this is completely like I was told by all the older guys as soon as I came here, they did not like me at all.
Ah,
They just didn't really like. I guess they didn't know me enough to understand my personality, but they just thought that just like kind of like how I dressed and stuff like that. I was just gonna be like a stuck up a hole, which I mean, I guess I definitely kind of was off like the first month or so. So I don't hate them on that, but we developed. They helped me not be that person, and um, the team chemistry got better between me and my teammates and now my roommates. And yeah, the transition was easy but hard at the same time. Obviously, being out of state, and it's hard to make that journey back and forth. But with getting so close to them super quick, it definitely made everything so much easier for the rest of the time here.
yeah. How about the bowling part? I mean, you start bowling on the team. You ended up making a couple of the varsity roster for the tournaments, the varsity roster. You make the Leatherneck roster. You make the roster for a tier one over the holidays on the East Coast. But Shawn told me that the nerves of the big moments got to you, and you didn't make the postseason roster that year. He said that he didn't think that set too well, especially after being named the conference rookie of the year. Did it?
Yeah, I completely understood uh, why he did not take me on that postseason roster. I completely understand experience because the kid that went over me was a senior at that time,
Mhm.
and the Leatherneck was what got me to go out east. And then out east, I performed so poorly, and I had like performance anxiety off the charts. It was so bad, and I just remember like those feelings too, because at least now, like I've gotten comfortable, I have the experience, and I have the self confidence enough to not have that anymore. But yeah, no, I hurt myself with my performance anxiety, and it also didn't help that being conference rookie of the year, that rose my head a little higher, but my performance anxiety brought it down a little lower. So I was just kind of all over with emotions. And yeah, no, I was definitely upset after that. And I remember the conversation me and Shawn had after. We talked for a long time just about, what I need to do over the summer, and um, just kind of how I need to progress from here. Obviously, with COVID happening, it was kind of harder. Thankfully, with where I'm located, I'm only 35 minutes north of Ohio, and they were open almost the whole time. So I was able to practice in, bowl of the tournaments that they had going on. So I was able to get that experience and progression that Shawn was talking to me about, getting that there.
Yeah. Mav Chev says hi,
Maverick.
brother.
Yep.
And
Mav Chev. That's my little brother Maverick.
oh,
I love
cool.
you too, buddy.
All right. Yeah, Shawn mentioned that conversation. He said, that it was about how to get over the pressure of making big shots and being in those high pressure situations. He says he told you to stop bowling only youth events and to go get your teeth kicked in by adults and better bowlers. And that's exactly what you did. He said you even went out and participated in some regionals, right?
Yep. Pretty much as soon as he said that, I started bowling a couple regionals. My first one was when things opened up for that little bit over COVID, and that was at Angola Bowl. Uh, not the best experience. I mean, it was 95 degrees, and they have a little AC unit in the corner. And I was definitely feeling the pressure and the heat at the same time. But after that, the next two tournaments, I made match play for the second one, and I qualified, or I finished seventh. And then for the third one, I was actually leading at some point. I missed the cut, but I was able to perform well, at least for where I was at that point. And I had Mitch Hoope on my pair, so we were just kind of like, I was just kind of watching how he how he bowls throughout a whole tournament block, how he's transitioning, like what is he doing mentally and physically when something is good or bad, and how can I mirror that with my own game.
Yeah. He is a sneaky high rev player, isn't he?
Oh, he is, you would not think that he strikes as much as he does, but that man strikes,
Yeah.
and it's actually nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, he puts a lot on the ball without a lot of effort, which is really cool to see. So the postseason that we alluded to never ended up happening because of COVID, and the next season starts late for the same reason. You were a first team club All American, just missed out on being a national coaches All American. The team wins its second club national championship. Do you feel like that was a year where you were near or at your potential at that point?
I at that point, I was kind of going through, some physical struggles a lot. Like my game was just changing so much that it hurt my consistency and how I was feeling physically. And once we got towards the postseason side, I started feeling a lot more confident. My anxiety started dropping a lot, and just having these experiences under my belt definitely helped me as a player. Being able to see more, like see the lanes front to back instead of left to right, and just kind of understanding things a lot faster, transitioning a lot easier, and making smarter decisions more often. So just kind of having that group of me, Brandon Mooney, Donovan Thomas, and Quinn Sheehy at that time definitely helped. Just having that group or core of players kind of push me more tournament to tournament, and that helped me a lot. So at that time, I definitely my potential went up a lot, and with that, again with that team chemistry and gel going up from the season before and going into that season, it just overall helped everything.
Yeah. Kind of ironic that Shawn's saying, okay, you need to be ready for the big moments. And then all of a sudden, you're in the club national championship. I mean, what was that like to not only get there, but also, to advance and win the thing?
Yeah, I mean that felt nice, being able to win one at that point, win one of the two nationals that, that was our goal. Like our goal was to hit that and then get the ITCs and, feeling that accomplishment and our confidence rise up and just work like even better as a team after that. It's crazy what can happen after something like that, like after winning a tournament like that.
Yeah. So now you've got another summer. What do you do to prepare for your junior year?
I just continue to get that experience under my belt, bowl the bigger tournaments, and at that point, that was when I started bowling all of Jody Boyd's like the 12K tournament and the 10K tournament, and that's when I started meeting more people, kind of picking other people's brains. Myself, Cam Crow, Nate Stubler, Mike Dole, Brandon Mooney, we all roomed at that tournament, and I was able to kind of talk with them a little bit, and I bowled on a team with them for the team event there, and that was a great time. And that that experience itself, because it's such a high caliber event. Like not only do you have amateurs and beginners, but you have pros bowling it in too, like Darren Tane, Michael Tang, Chris Vai. Like you see a lot of good bowlers, and that helps a lot. Just knowing that I'm able to compete at that level, because I think I finished 17th that year. So I had a really good year. I went plus like 350 for the amount of games, and I was like 50 out of cut to make into that top 10.
Yeah,
So that really helped with my confidence going forward into my junior season.
sure. That season, about halfway through, and we've talked about this in message exchanges, was when Shawn announces this is it. This is the last season. He's not going to be the coach after this. Um, you've talked about your thoughts on that in previous shows, but tell me about, the team. Was that kind of a rallying point for team? Was the concept of winning ITCs for coach ever discussed?
We have definitely brought it up for sure. Like if it's any coaches last season, like in any sport at all, you want to win for them, just so they have something, to leave with. And with leaving with the biggest, tournament win that you can possibly get for him, it's an amazing feeling to be able to do that for him. But at that point, when he announced it to us, we were like, all right, now we really gotta get closer as a team. We really gotta gel more, really take team bonding seriously and team chemistry to a T. We cannot be messing around, because having Shawn leaving this next season and I think we lost about half the guys coming into this season, the guys that were staying, and at least the guys that were there until the end of the season. We just really had to, rally together.
Yeah,
And, it definitely helped a lot with that end goal, which we had attained.
sure. But it wasn't a slam dunk, was it? You went to the club national championships again, and that didn't turn out so well.
No, we definitely struggled as a team, and we there has been this weird pattern that year where we'll go to Addison, bowl great, and then we'll go to the other tournaments, not bowl well, come back to Addison, bowl great, and it's just been that back and forth. So that was that going back to out of Addison, and we just we performed well in qualifying, and then as soon as we got into the match play and bracket, it just fell through. I think we lost in 3 rounds that year. So
Hmm. Yeah. So then you got to regroup, go to ITCs, and we know the history of that. At least I hope we do. I say we like everybody should know, and they should. But
yeah.
you guys keep advancing, you keep winning. Shawn had a lot to say about that, but he pointed out that you were vital to the run, especially in the last 3 games of the championship. What he told me is that those last 3 games, you turned into a bowler that he had never seen, but knew that you could always be. He said you posted every shot, you were absolutely lacing the shots, and your excitement and reactions were on fire. He said, the strike in the 7th frame of game 5, He said you blacked out from screaming so loud. It was an absolutely amazing experience, and he was glad you were able to have that experience together. I'm going to play a little video, to kind of go along with this while you weigh in. But this is from that documentary that I brought up, The Road to the Helmer Cup, and I'm hoping that I don't get an ad halfway through here. But anyway, this is you, and maybe you can tell us what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so that was game 5, frame 2. Game 3, I found I found the look on the right lane. I went 10-pin strike, and I made the adjustment on that right lane. And on the left, so like all week, I've been having problems in the right lane, but not the left. If you see where that board is, like the light board on the side of the left lane, that's where like I struggled with seeing that. So like if you watch any of my my shots on that left lane, games 2 and 4, terrible. All of them were so bad. Every shot on the right lane was really, really good. But no, I don't know. It's just something just locked into my head, and it just, I don't know. I just felt different. I had no nerves. Game 5, I really, really wanted to make sure I laced both of my shots, because whenever I'm bowling against whenever we're bowling against another college team and they have a lefty, my mentality is always bowl better than them. That's always been something that I've held in my head mentally. And game 5 was when they put Spencer Robarge in, and he went 9 count, and in my head I was like, I got to beat him at least this one game, and I laced both of those shots, and it was probably the best feeling in the world. I remember screaming so hard, and just my head started getting lightheaded. If you watch the show, if it's anywhere at all, you can kind of see a glimpse of me going on my hand, like holding on my knees and just kind of like looking down, because everything is getting black. Everything's like buggy, and oh man, yeah, that was such a head rush. But I knew that I had all this buildup all year of just wanting to win this, and just letting all of my emotions out all week. Like that was the first week I've ever showed emotion like that, and it was probably, at least on an individual standpoint, probably some of the best bowling I've done, at least in a Baker setting like that. And I'm just really glad that it was able to pay off, and at least help my guys continue to push, and not press and get low.
Yeah. What were the conversations like? I mean, you guys are on TV against the most celebrated program in the history of college bowling, and somehow, some way, you do it. You get past them. They've got the stars, the sons of professional bowlers and all that, and you're winning, and taking this title from them.
Yeah, after the second game, when we went down 0-2, we just really had to pull together as a team, because we were really, really pressing hard, and we were just into our heads. Obviously we're still trying to get comfortable, and it's a new setting for us, and obviously the lane was playing a little different because of the lights and how hot it was, and everyone just got hot and was moving too fast. And I remember seeing someone in the crowd getting a text message, telling telling the guy, like telling everyone in that group that was in the stands to get loud and get hype. And going into that game 3, that's when everything just started going off. Like you could barely hear anyone after someone threw a strike. Like they were just going off, and that helped us push, because I knew they were trying to beat Wichita State's crowd, and we were trying to beat them, and we were also trying to come back together as one team and not individual bowlers. And there's that Shawn's favorite photo of us in that huddle, and all the guys just kind of standing off to the side on the Wichita team. And that really does resonate with, or mirror with, how how close we were as a team at that point. The conversations really weren't much about bowling at all. Like I remember specifically with me and Shawn, whenever I'd go up, he'd just be like, take a deep breath, pet the kitty, You got this, post your shot, get through the ball every time. It was never about anything transition wise or, what I'm seeing differently. It was always just, stay calm, cool, collected, and do exactly what you know how to do. And it helped.
Yeah. Dad says your first ball that you threw, you looked white as a ghost. He was saying in his head, just keep it on the lane. Keep it on the lane. And Ken says that I'm a great interviewer and you're great at responding. So this is a great show. So which is great. Love that. So as we're sitting here talking, I got a message from Tom Clark, who most people know as the PBA commissioner, but of course he's Rory's father as well. He says that your performance during the Warhawks National Championship run was awesome. The left side was extremely difficult. Some would say shut out. Drake defined how to grind. He was so focused and determined to overcome the conditions. He was key and made so many big shots. I know he talks a lot about having an intense level of focus, which, kind of separates the guys on the PBA tour from the rest of us. But to hear him talk, say about, how you overcame the elements on a shot that really kind of shut out the lefties, what's that like?
Yeah. And I love hearing that. That is, thank you, Tom. I really do appreciate that. Like seriously, but I just remember all week, especially going to bracket play, I just saw, like, I didn't really see, I talk very humbly about this week because I know that I was one of the only lefties that had a look. And I remember having a couple of my really good friends that were left-handed, and they were asking me, what am I doing so much differently? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I can tell you guys are trying to play the same part of the lane as me, but I don't know. I'm just doing something differently that is just, separating myself from the others. And I remember in the I don't mean to call him out at all, but the lefty on Indiana Tech, I've known him for a while, and I remember going into the very last round, the round of 7, to get into the show. On the right lane, he threw urethane. On the left lane, he threw it looked like a 360 grit phase 2 to try and play defense. But at that point, it actually played to my benefit because I knew with how left he was getting and how straight I was playing that I now have that bounce room right over that track. So if I miss left a little bit, it's going to come back. But if I hit my line, it's not going to do anything at all. And, just being able to be that locked and that focused shot to shot to make or to execute that good, it's something I have always wanted to get to. And I'm, that week is just such a blur because everything went by so fast. But, just being able to do that for my team and, getting them wild up and, just for them to know that they have that lefty for the week, it just really gives me that confidence also.
Yeah. Connor says built diff.
Different. That's my roommate.
Okay. Yeah. Time passes, but the importance of that accomplishment, both for the school, for the program, and in the history of college bowling, is going to sustain. I mean, how does it feel for you, versus in the moment when, like you said, everything's probably a blur?
Yeah, I have to continue to go back to rewatch all the videos because I don't remember anything. I remember Cam Crow and Nate Stuber coming up to me before the finals telling me, like, dude, take it all in because it's going to go by so much faster than you think. Because, like, it was a 2.5 hour show, and I don't remember 1 second of it. Everything just went by so fast. I'm like, dang, they were right. Everything really did go by so quick. And, that's why I'm really glad that we had Kale with us, doing that documentary. And now I can just go back and rewatch it at any point and just, being able to relive that experience. And, it's so great being able to do that and accomplish something like that and have the whole week on tape.
Yeah. Shawn's last hurrah, as we've alluded to, he told me that you're one of his all-time favorite guys. He says it's not hard to talk positively about you because of the level of respect and appreciation that you showed him, and that you have both an amazing work ethic and growth mindset. These are the qualities that he valued in you. I hear him talk about growth mindset a lot. So to go from, the freshman who kind of had to be convinced a little bit to come to Whitewater, uh, and, bowling for this coach who can obviously be a little gruff, but has your best interests in mind, to you're one of his favorite guys. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. I remember coming in my freshman year when we went out to the retreat. He had us do this little thing, trying to point out what's a growth mindset and what's a fixed mindset, and that really stuck because I realized I was like, I have a fixed mindset. Like I don't have a growth mindset at all. And um, as I kind of learned more about that, I had to, almost be a sponge at that point. Soak in all the experiences and let go of all the negatives and or squeeze out all the negatives. And that's kind of what I did. I filtered, what I did, how I learned, how I developed, and how I matured as a bowler and as a person. And um, I have nothing but respect for Shawn for teaching me that because without, those little things that he did at the retreat or what our conversations about the mindset itself, I would not even be close to the mentality I have now, or let alone, the bowler that I am today.
Sure. In college sports, we hear this thing that's kind of become cliche when you talk about like Butler basketball. You hear about the Butler way. I've heard Del Warren talk about the Weber way for his bowling team. Is there a Whitewater way?
The Whitewater way is, at least for the righties, is get left as fast as you can and throw it right as far as you can. That's always been the thing that Whitewater's been known for. And, being that team that gets left the fastest. And I guess we kind of still do that because now that we have, majority of our lineups two-handers, at least on the progression. And, with some of the new recruits we have coming up, they're two-handed. So that'll continue to stay there with, having all these high rev players. But, we are, one of the things that Shawn brought in last year, like a lot, was, being the village. And that's actually something that I grew up with in high school from one of my teachers, was be the village, be a family, support one another, have that chemistry, have that gel. And if you can become one team, like one village and not individual little bungalows, then you will find all your success and everything right there where you need it.
Oh, pretty powerful as far as a life lesson is concerned, isn't it?
Yeah, seriously, it really is. And our team now, it's probably the best team chemistry and gel I have seen my 4 years being here. And I am very glad that, once I leave and I'm done bowling, I'm able to say that I was a part of this group,
Mhm.
from my freshman to senior year, that have taught me so much, and how the atmosphere and, just how everything has changed.
Yeah. Brandon, who is the head coach now, messaged me, says, although he didn't name any captains this year, you still step up and try to be a voice or a leader on the team, which he likes because you don't need a title to be a leader. What does that mean to you? Both to hear that from him and what being a leader really means.
Yeah, it really does mean a lot. I really do. I really am trying to step into, more of that, that leader role for everyone under me. I'm just trying to set as good of an example as I can for when the people, like for the freshmen and the sophomores continue to come up, year to year. They are able to follow, and hopefully I'm setting good examples so far this year, but they're able to fall into that track and, reverse it back to the freshmen and sophomores they have when they're seniors. And um, I host all the social gatherings. I host all the all the team bonding events, and that's just where I'm at this point. And like you said, you don't need a title to be a leader. We have multiple leaders on this team. I'm not the only one, including Garrett Meadows, who does all of our team huddles. He gives us our chant game to game, and he gets us pumped up before all the tournaments. And you have McGuire Hanshi, who's our older senior that is also a leader, and Zach Gear, and everyone can be a leader. I'm just very glad I'm able to be in the position that I am in right now, to be able to do all these things for everyone else.
Yeah. Brandon also mentioned that you are also easy to make fun of because you put yourself in situations for everyone to throw some jabs at you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There are a lot of experiences and things that have happened in the past, the last couple of years, that we do not talk about, at least on this show. But no, just again, just how I started my freshman year and how I grew up, or at least how I started my freshman year and how I eventually matured up until now. It was very easy to pick on me and just kind of bring up some of the old stories.
Yeah. Coach, was on the show, as and he was joking about how when your quotes come up, oh, he just wants me to let him bowl. I would think, as one of the most accomplished players on in the program right now, that you're gonna be in most or all of those situations to bowl. But is there still a special feeling that comes with making the varsity roster for a team or for a name?
Yes. Yep. Every tournament, I'm always waiting to see that varsity roster. At this point, like, I have the experience, I have, everything that I need to at least be there until I really do something really bad. But I still haven't bowled every game this year. Like, there was conference our first conference tournament this year. I didn't bowl any individual games, and that was the first time I have it in probably about a year and a half. At least I haven't started or haven't thrown a game in a tournament. So even though I do have that experience, and I know that, and we all know what I'm capable of doing, there are still times that I just don't bowl.
Sure. You are listed among the best averages in the last 22 years or so of the program on the team's website. I like to call it the post FEF era of college bowling. Is that something that you think about as you go to these tournaments this year?
Um, no, I actually did look at all those at the beginning of the year, when everything was updated, and that just gives me a baseline of just smaller goals, going through tournament to tournament. Just my biggest thing is just not let that sink in my head, and don't press about shooting a good score, or um, hitting the baselines for like the single pin percentage, multi pin percentage, anything like that at all. Because I've been doing this for 3 years now, 4 years. I should be comfortable with just going through my routine every single shot, and not having to worry about anything that I have going on from the last 3 years.
Yeah. How often do you bowl these days? I mean, when it comes to, you talked about practicing perhaps tonight and team practices, and when you go home, and I'm guessing you practice, break it down for me. How many games per week would you say you bowl?
I probably couldn't give you an amount on how many games I bowl per week on average. Just kind of, it just also depends on what we're doing in practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Sure.
Um, at least game wise, maybe like 15, 20 games a week, because I'll go in and throw shots, but not keep track of how many games I'm actually bowling.
Sure.
Um, I have, obviously being a senior, I have a lot more priorities, to finish out and graduate. And I'm taking 18 credits this semester, and next semester I'm taking 21 credits. So I'm going to have a lot on my plate, but I'm still going to be able to bowl probably, when it's an off week, 5 days a week. If it's a tournament weekend, probably 6 days a week, I'll probably be bowling.
Okay. And obviously, the goal this year is to repeat, as national champions again. But, once you get past the college thing, I mean, you're nearing the end of your college career. What goals do you have as far as both in life and in bowling?
So I am a human performance major with a minor in health promotion. I want to get into something psychology based, whether it's exercise psychology with a team or clinical psychology with like within a practice, to something psychology based because the mental game to me is super super important, and that's something Shawn has always preached about, and that's kind of what intrigued me to get into that profession. And also some of the professors that I have taken in the past year. um, I had a professor that was or she is the assistant softball coach, and she laid out everything that whole semester on just everything about the mental game. And I still have that book of all the notes that I have, about 100 pages worth, and I still look through that every now and then. And I definitely, if I can do a full time job with that, I'll do that. But I also do want to, try out PBA, see how that goes for a couple tournaments. If it's going well, get my PBA card and try and make it a full time thing. Obviously, I'm not sponsored yet, so that would be great.
Mhm.
But that is the goal. Continue to bowl in these high intensity, high talented tournaments, and continue to see how I do.
Yeah, sounds great. You've seen the show enough to know that I'm going to ask you to challenge somebody else. As we try to keep growing this web of bowlers, this
Hmm.
community of bowlers on Bowling with the Fef, doesn't have to be the greatest bowler in the world, but somebody who's passionate about the sport and has a unique story to tell. So, Drake Bazzy, who would you like to challenge to be on a future episode?
All right. So I definitely put a lot of thought into this, and with something recent that happened, I will definitely be choosing him. He is one of my really good buddies of mine, and he graduated last year from St. Ambrose University. Just won a regional title. I will be challenging Nate Stubler to the show.
Okay, great. Well, Nate, if you're watching this and you're interested in taking Drake up on his challenge, you can find me on Facebook or email me bowlingwiththefef@yahoo.com. I would be happy to have you on. I believe, didn't he win an 11th frame tournament as well?
He also won an 11th frame tournament. He's won Jody Boyd's tournaments. This man has probably won every single tournament in the Midwest.
Great. Well, I would be honored to have him on if he so chooses. Nate, if you do, please get a hold of me. Our next show is coming up on Wednesday, November 16th. I've had a bunch of these in a row, so it's going to be nice
I
to
see
take a few
that.
days off. But it's funny that the PWBA schedule was released today. I didn't have any advance notice of that, but my next guest happens to be a star of the PWBA. She is the reigning U.S. Women's Open champion, Erin McCarthy. From Elkhorn, Nebraska. She'll be on to talk with us about that signature win, her time on tour, her experiences on and off the lanes, all that good stuff. Coming up Wednesday, November 16th, 7 p.m. Central, a little bit later than normal, but please come and join us live. Chime in with some questions if you have them. I would love to see you all there. Ken says this was awesome. I agree. Drake, thank you so much for your time.
I
It's been
loved
a
it.
blast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I absolutely loved all this.
Good. Good to hear. I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate everyone watching live and on replay. Thank you so much for watching. Always appreciate it. Again, be just and fear not, and we'll see you again next Wednesday.